Overwatch 2 is a sequel that, intentionally or not, is trying to bury its predecessor alive. The original Overwatch is still in there, bruised and broken, but the weight of Blizzard's commercial and competitive expectations keep piling up. It's a sequel that refuses to reach inwards and find and nourish the surprisingly ambitious and joyful FPS it hopes you remember from 2016. Instead of synthesizing what made the original game enviable and revitalizing it for a genre still with nothing quite like it, the sequel takes what was left and wraps it up in a monetization scheme that could finally kill it for good.
Monsieur, does this mean Overwatch is back?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Overwatch 2 is the conclusion to Overwatch's 6-year-long mutation into a live service game. Most of Overwatch 2's new additions, outside of its game modes and maps, will cost you. Blizzard, the company that's estimated to have made over 100 million in a month from Diablo Immortal earlier this year, is back with another familiar game bound up in systems made to exploit your love for it.
You guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
The limited, early access version of Overwatch 2 that I've played along with members of the press in the last week hasn't had the joy sucked out of it yet, but I'm worried about its future. The game's shift to a 5v5 format that emphasizes aggressive play and the sweeping balance changes to most of its heroes target its most experienced players and not the ones who might return to the game or try it for the first time. Overwatch, in its original form, was a rare FPS that welcomed non-FPS players, building room in its roster for supportive roles and characters who could win a match with a clutch heal or defensive bubble. Now, almost every hero, including its new ones, have been imbued with high-skill mechanics that feel tailored to esports pros rather than the average player, with no desire to play at that level, which has me wondering who exactly this game is supposed to be for. Overwatch 2 loosens the grip that team composition and behavior had on individual play in the first game. To do that, it removes most of the stuns and knockbacks from damage heroes and turns tanks into Dark Souls bosses with big health bars and a variety of movement abilities. Mei can't freeze enemies in place anymore, Bastion is no longer stationary in turret form, and Doomfist has been reworked from a damage dealer to a hyper-mobile tank. The 3 new heroes launching with the game thrive in Overwatch 2's messier battles. Sojourn is a blend of Soldier 76 and Widowmaker with the ability to crouch slide around the battlefield. Kiriko, the kunai-wielding healer, can not only climb walls, but instantly teleport to allies through walls, and while Junker Queen lacks movement abilities, she can rally her allies with a temporary speed and health boost. Some heroes stick out in the new format. I've been a Wrecking Ball main since he released, and at first I thought I was crushing it. But upon switching hero, I found that him and some other heroes like Sombra have become horrific to play against, having largely been kept in check previously by stuns and their low damage output. Wrecking Ball's massive health pool and Sombra's 40% damage buff against hacked targets makes them both ridiculously punishing to uncoordinated teams. None of these break the game, but they reveal how much work is left to make sure the entire cast fits into the new rule set. The new challenge system takes the focus of the game from just winning matches to these granular, selfish objectives that de-incentivize team play.
But you said to stick together.
Don't worry. I'll be right behind you.
You'd better be.
It's a game that spreads the spirit of its interlocking hero battles over 9-week sessions and locks its most impressive skins and cosmetics behind several hours of daily, dedicated play. Even if it's the norm for live service, free-to-play games, and a slight improvement over the original's loot boxes, it's disappointing to see a game that once used its exciting depth to reward players for learning and mastering its intricacies to now demand people to wrap their lives around it, pay money, or leave empty-handed. To get a skin for the new support in Tier 20 of the first season's Battle Pass, it would take you almost a week of focused play to earn, and you wouldn't get it at all if you didn't pay for the $10 premium Battle Pass. Overwatch 2's live service relaunch has also left its once fresh world of diverse characters on hold for future updates. Outside of the 3 new characters, the game's story hasn't developed several of its existing characters, nor has it progressed past Winston's call to action in the cinematic short that debuted the first game. Blizzard promises the PvE missions will push the game's story in the future, but none of them will be in the game until 2023. For everyone that still actively plays Overwatch, the sequel sequel has enough new toys to play with and unlock, even if the beating heart of the game I devoted hundreds of hours of my life into is a few aggressive balance changes and monetization systems away from flatlining. It's in a fragile state that might not solidify into a distinct follow-up to the 2016 game for another year or two. It might still become the game that many of its fans, like me, dreamed it would be. It could be a game that appeals to people who love the cerebral joy of a frenetic firefight, but one that maintains a metagame of counterpicking and positional play for those who like to play chess with its unique heroes too. It could take all of its charming and compelling characters and integrate the original game's question of what a disparate team of heroes could do for a world that's rejected them. It could be a game that makes every ability, every remark and every location evocative of the kind of refreshing world it promised to be. But that's not the Overwatch 2 coming out next week. Overwatch 2, as it is still so close to being the game I want, and that's why I won't let go until the make or break finally comes.